Hello everyone, welcome to this online SWAYAM NPTEL certification course on aquatic geochemistry. I will be your instructor. I am Dr. Shoumita Boral. I am a DST Inspire faculty at the Interdisciplinary Center for Water Research at the Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. I am an isotope geochemist, as the lecture title suggests, and my research interest is on freshwater systems. I use isotope tracers and elemental chemistry to understand the composition of natural waters, what controls it, what changes happen when the aquatic system, the dynamic changes that are happening in the aquatic system, because we generally get to see only glimpses. But what has been happening, and when we see some data, why are we seeing that data, what processes control it, that is what is my research all about. And I will be sharing all that I do during this lecture series, and I am very happy to have you all in this course. So, this course is mainly about all the natural water. So, this course will discuss the compositions of natural aquatic systems. Okay. So, it is about lakes, it is about ocean, it is about groundwater, it is about rivers and rivers originating from glaciers, and why certain compositions are there, what changes across time, what changes across space, what processes control that, how humans interventions are changing these compositions, what does it imply in terms of planetary health, what will it impact if in terms of for future water security, for our human health, for the environmental health and all that. So, this course is all about the natural systems, okay, not man-made systems like dams or reservoirs and all that. So, we will be mostly discussing natural water composition in this lecture series. So, I will give you a brief description about the topics that will be covered. So, the first module, so this entire lecture series, which will be of 12 weeks duration, that is 30 hours, has been divided into 13 modules, and the first module, as you can see, I will be introducing global water challenges. Of course, we understand that everywhere in the globe there will be certain water related issues are going on. I will be discussing some of those problems, if not all. Emerging concepts. Now, as we are, as a population, human population is increasing, as industrialization is increasing, as urbanization is increasing, there are certain problems are now slowly emerging. Okay. So, we will talk about some of the emerging concepts. That means not only problems, but also some of the solutions that we have thought about for those problems. So, emerging concepts. Then very broadly we will discuss the hydrosphere, that is the entire global hydrosphere, and in that I will talk. So, from the global scale I will come down to the catchment scale, because problems are solved, discussed in terms of catchment scale, okay, be it for rivers, be it for glaciers, be it for groundwater, be it for lakes. So, we have to come down to the catchment scale. So, catchment hydrology. And the next module, again very important, will be sampling techniques, how certain different techniques are used for different types of water collection. The same types of techniques should not be used for groundwater sample collection. There will be some differences with river water sample collection, more differences with ocean water sample collection. Okay. So, every type of water has their own type of collection. So, the needs vary okay, and it depends on a variety of factors and especially the kind of science that you would like to do. So, I would be discussing those finer details in those particular lectures. Instrumentation and all that, I will not go into a lot of details, because there is n number of instruments that are available. I will be mostly discussing the very common types of instruments that we regularly use and is regularly used all over the world for whoever is doing aquatic geochemistry. Okay. And again, so this is not a very detailed instrumentation course. So, I will be mostly introducing the instruments that we are using, and if you need further details, you can look them up at somewhere else. And of course, I will be introducing natural water compositions, and in this particular module, I will just give you a glimpse. Okay. So, that what we are seeing and then why we are seeing, I will be discussing in the next modules. So, the very first inorganic chemistry topic that will be discussed, that controls the natural water composition, will be the thermochemical concepts, that is equilibrium and kinetic concepts. After that, the module 4 that will be related to acids, bases, redox, solubility and aqueous complexes. In another module, we will discuss separately the organic constituents in natural waters, and the reason it is separate is because organic geochemistry is very vast and it is a separate subject in itself. This module will just be introducing a few topics, and it is again I will show you the complexities involved, and therefore, it is being separated as a separate subject, and we will just understand how it controls, what it controls, and we limit the scope of that particular module a little bit in this course. The other module will be related to application of isotope geochemistry in aquatic system, and this will be a major portion of this course, that is the application of radiogenic isotopes and stable isotopes in understanding the kinds of processes that is happening in the different aquatic systems, how we use isotopes as tracers to understand processes, to understand and quantify sources that is contributing to its water quantity as well as to its chemistry. Okay. Since I am talking about quantification using tracers, the next module that will follow will be about modeling techniques. Okay. What kind of geochemical hydrogeochemical modeling techniques can be done? This again will be few techniques I will teach you, and I hope that with these few techniques you can then generate or devise your own models. Okay. So, some of the models we are already having, they are already there. You can like a software, if you have geochemical data, you can input all those data in a particular software, and then you get to understand some results, and you can infer those results and all. For some other modeling techniques, specifically those which are of determination of sources and their contributions to any water quality or water quantity, both, for them we need much more tailor made models. So, depending on what you want to model, few techniques I will teach you in this particular course. Then we will move on to stable water isotopes and its applications. Stable water has been stable water isotopes has been widely used in catchment hydrology, and is one of the best tracers to understand various processes. So, we will discuss a lot about the stable water isotopes, how it varies, and in the different types of aquatic systems like in lakes, in rivers, in oceans, and how stable water isotopes has helped us in understanding past climate, in past variations in Earth's landscape, and in temperature, that mostly climate change and all that. So, next we will be discussing a few more other types of isotopes, and those are very specific isotope systems. So, for specific problems we have specific isotope traces, and we will discuss those type of applications in aquatic systems. Then we will again go back to natural composition. So, what controls the natural chemistry of different aquatic components like rain, lake, rivers, glaciers, groundwater. So, if I take a water sample from any groundwater and if I have the geochemical data, then what processes has controlled that chemical composition is what we will discuss in this module. Same thing, marine chemistry, it is another subject in itself, and I will be very briefly introducing you to marine chemistry, and its show you its wideness and the range of things that is happening, and some geochemical applications that we do to understand marine chemistry. And finally, we will discuss a few initiatives and our future directions in which science should move towards fulfillment of sustainable development goal number 6, that is related to water. So, that is why I write towards SDG 6. Maybe right now you do not know what is SDG 6, I will talk about SDG 6 in a few more minutes, but right away this is what the content will be for this course, that is aquatic geochemistry. Now, before we begin the course, I would like to suggest a few books, and the course material that I will be presenting here, most of the like lectures, like text and images has been taken from these books, and whenever it has been taken from any other published peer reviewed papers, I have mentioned the author name and the journal name. So, you can refer back to them and you can read those papers for better understanding. But these books I think will help you greatly if you want to know more about aquatic geochemistry. At least these are the books that I regularly use, refer to when I do my research. Okay. So, do not limit yourself, but this is just the advice that I have and suggested for a suggested reading. And also I would like to mention that in this course I have 2 teaching assistants who will be helping all of you and helping me also with in conducting this course. They are Mr. Rahul Singh and Mr. Dhyaneshwar Gawai. They will be the teaching assistants for this course, and during any time when this course is conducted, if you face any problem, you will have a live session and you can raise your questions in those live session and let us know about your questions, or you can email me directly. I have shared you my email ID in the first page itself. You will, every lecture you will see my email ID there, and you can write to me regarding any of your questions, or you can write to the TAs and they will be helping you out. Now, starting with the course, and that is we will talk about the global water challenges. So, in this particular first lecture, I would like all of you to take this message home, that why are we worried about water? What are the different directions in which we have to think about? Why is the entire world worrying about water? What kind of initiatives has been taken? What kind of challenges are being faced? I think all of you must be aware of some, definitely in some form of the other you are facing it, but you may not realize it directly. Okay, so I hope during after this lecture you will realize how important water is, not only from the human perspective, but also from the global perspective. It is important for everything. So, the first thing then when the industrial revolution happened, and when things started becoming more and more synthesized and all that, we commonly use this, and I think all of you are quite aware of this term called pollution. And I think all of you have already learnt this term called pollution in your school, starting from your school days. So, you know soil pollution, water pollution, air pollution, all these kinds of pollution exists. Okay. So, this, what do you mean by pollution? So, some natural system has been contaminated. Okay. So, there are some contaminants, like contaminant meaning, what is a contaminant? Something which is there, which is in a higher concentration, such that it may be of toxic nature to either yourself or to the ecosystem. Okay. So, anybody can get affected, it can be the plants or it can be the animals, insects, birds, whosoever. Now, chemical pollution is a great problem. It has been realized, and everywhere in the globe people whoever is doing research, they have understood its potential and its harmful effects. So, it is a great and growing global problem. Why? Because every country is slowly now moving towards development, it is moving towards industrialization, it is moving towards urbanization. So, it is now a huge problem. It is not only limited to only those countries that are developed countries. So, chemical pollution is now there in all the countries. Okay. And it is the world's largest environmental cause of disease and premature death. Okay. So, why we are discussing about water, why people are investing about in having more better water quality, why water quality is such a big issue globally, is because the number of deaths that is happening is staggering. Okay. So, here a gist is presented, and it is a very old data. I would say that in 2015 it is said that 16% of all global deaths happened due to pollution, that is due to chemical pollution. And by chemical pollution I mean that which has chemicals which has intercepted into air, water and soil, and it is more higher than the deaths that has been caused due to lack of nutrition, or due to road accidents, or due to any other any other causes such as obesity or alcohol. And it is said that the number of deaths is around 3 times more than those deaths caused by AIDS, or due to malaria, or due to tuberculosis, and 15 times as many deaths as wars and all forms of violence. So, the numbers are actually really staggering. So, this is what is was in 2015. I am not sure what it is in 2025, but I am sure that the numbers are more increased towards the wrong side, I would say. In India, the scene is not very pleasant. It ranks 120th amongst 122 countries in terms of water quality index, and it is said by the CPCB that nearly 70% of fresh water is being contaminated. In India, for me, most fact that really strikes to me is that every year nearly 2 lakh children die due to severe diarrhea, and this shows us the urgency and the critical nature with which water related problems should be dealt with right away. I talked about sustainable development goals. Now, what is a sustainable development goals? Now, there is a United Nations, and United Nations, it's a consortium of many countries, and they meet regularly and they discuss the problems that every country is facing. They discuss all types of problems starting from science, policy, hunger, everything, and they determine certain goals. Okay, for every country there has to be missions or initiatives towards fulfillment of these goals, and as a civilized as a civilization, we slowly have to fulfill these goals. So, what are these goals? Okay, these goals, as you can see, the first goal will be related to no poverty. There should not be any poverty, there should not be any hunger, there should be healthy people, and there should be quality education, there should be gender equality. So, such things. Okay. So, and those goals that is moving us towards an ideal society, an ideal planet. Now, water is, I would say, is one of the most important and fundamental aspect of this sustainable development goal, and therefore, it has been realized in one of the goals as SDG 6. So, the sustainable development goal 6 is that which is related to water. It is broadly, it has been termed as clean water and sanitation for all. So, it is said like clean water and sanitation for all. And if I can summarize in one sentence, I would say this, that if in a country, any region, say if the water is scarce, if water is difficult to access, for instance, you want water and you do not have the access to water, or your water source has been polluted, okay, then what do you do? If your water source itself is polluted, then your food security is also questionable. Okay. Your livestock, there will be livelihoods will be lost. Okay. And therefore, if it continues, since changes in water chemistry, water quality takes time, if that happens for long periods of time, then conflicts can follow. Therefore, good water is absolutely essential for global prosperity and peace. And I believe out of all the SDGs, this is central to all other, the fulfillment of all other goals. For example, I would say how it is related to. So, you will see in this picture there is a inner circle and there is a outer circle. So, water is directly related to no poverty. Okay. That is, if you have clean water, okay, if you have more accessible water, if you to buy clean water you do not have to spend a lot of money, then definitely your people will be having more money for other things. So, there will be less chances of poverty. If to buy water you are spending a lot of money, then to buy other essential items it will be much more difficult. So, water and sanitation is directly related to poverty, and of course, it is absolutely related to food, that is zero hunger, that is SDG 2. If you do not have clean stable water supply, then your chances of agricultural success declines. So, it is directly related to zero hunger goal. Then for the third, of course, water is related to good health. If you have any contaminant in your water, water related diseases are huge number of water related diseases are there. So, it is definitely a direct control on good health and well-being. Then sustainable cities and communities. If you notice that all major civilizations has happened on the banks of rivers. So, for here in India, the huge civilization, the Indus civilization happened on the banks of the Indus river. Okay, even now if you see all the major cities, they will be on the banks of some river. Okay, or why do we need a river supply? Why is it near to a river? Because then they will have a continuous source of water. Okay, a continuous source of water is required for the continuation of the civilization. So, sustainable cities and communities directly rely upon the water available. Climate action. Now, climate change has a direct connection with the global hydrological cycle, that is floods, droughts, okay, whether there is a storm coming, whether there is a hurricane coming and all such types of things, even landslides and all that, whether there is a tsunami happening and all that. So, water related disasters and floods and things like that, there is a direct relation between climate change and the global hydrological change and climate action. So, if you want to do changes towards any particular direction, so you want to prevent floods, for example, your climate action will be to prevent floods. Okay. So, you will develop your infrastructure so in a such a way that your floods get prevented and things like that. So, water has a direct role and globally water controls climate. So, it has a direct role in climate. Then life on land, of course, all terrestrial beings require water, is made up of water, we are all made up of water and therefore, direct connection. Same thing, life below water, and this particular goal mostly talks about marine life and freshwater ecosystem life. So, when we are polluting water bodies like lakes, we are polluting our oceans and all, a lot of species get extinct. Okay. So, the contamination, the pollution that we are doing to the aquatic systems hugely impacts life on in the water. So, that is why it is a direct control of SDG 6. Decent work and economic growth. Now, if your poverty, if your hunger, if your health and well-being is being taken care of, then you will definitely move towards a decent work and economic growth. So, a country that has less water resources, you will see it is suffering from all types of economic problems, because if it will not have water to fund its growth, okay, you need water for agriculture, you need water for industries and everything. So, for economic growth, for work, water is absolutely essential. So, in that regard, it is a direct connection to SDG 6, that is clean water and sanitation. The outer circle is it is also related, but it is an indirect relation, I would say. Say for instance, quality education. Okay. Now, you may realize this, or please kindly realize this, that if you are healthy, if you are well, that means you will if you are less visiting the hospitals, then your chances of having a successful educational, of joining an educational program and completing an educational program will be much better than somebody else who is often falling sick, has to be taken out for continuous visits to the doctor and all that. So, quality education is an indirect impact of well-being, that is health and well-being, of work and economic growth, and of course, a continuous supply of water has to be there if you want a quality education to happen. Gender equality. What is gender equality? All over the globe, it has been noticed that women spend considerably much more time in gathering water for their domestic purposes as compared to men. Okay. So, somebody has to get the water for their daily needs, and often young girls are given the job to do this. They may have to walk for miles to get the water from somewhere else. So, they have to be taken out from the education system because they have to fetch water. So, this gender inequality is happening in many countries. It is not related only to India, it can happen to any country, and this is again an indirect effect to not having enough accessibility to clean water. Okay. Then I would now reduced inequalities. Again, if you have seen many places, if the water is dirty and all, people who are living in the lower income background, they do not have the affordability to clean that water. They will use that water for their bathing purpose, for their domestic purpose, and may even have to drink that water. Okay. So, this inequalities between higher income groups, middle income groups and lower income groups are more if water in terms of water use, and especially in rural areas you will get to see this more often, that people living in slums and in spaces where it is they have water, but it is very dirty water, but they still have to live in those areas. Okay. They will live on those banks of the river, or they will, just because they have that accessibility to water. So, this this kind of creates a divide between between in the society itself, between different income groups, between between caste, and all kind of divides can come into place related to water, and it fights related to accessibility to water is not unheard of. Many times we have heard about some community is not being given access to a particular well where good water is there, rather they have to take water from a well where the water is very contaminated, whether it is smelling, it is bad water is there, they still have to drink that water and all that. So, such inequality, such things continue happening, and it is not related that where you are, it is only happening in this part of the globe. No, it is happening anywhere. Such kind of inequalities can rise to conflicts anywhere in any part of the globe. So, indirectly we can see that there are many things like responsible consumption and production, affordability towards clean energy, industry, innovation and infrastructure. Of course, you know that all industries depend on water. Okay. The first thing that an industry will see is whether it will get water, whether it will get its workforce, whether it will have enough space or not. Okay. So, if water is not there, they will immediately move away from that place. They will say, oh, my water will cost so much, I cannot spend so much on water, so I have to move out of space. So, water is absolutely an essential, and I think it is the thread that connects all the other 16 goals. Now, this SDG 6 can be divided into these other smaller goals. So, 6.1 talks about safe drinking water for all. Then the other talks about sanitation for all. The other talks about better water quality. Okay, better water quality, and then it shows the fishes and all that. That means, if you have bad water quality, all life will get removed. Then more efficient water use, how you are using, what technologies are being used to increase your water use efficiency. Then integrated water management, how your policies, how your rules and regulations. So, how as a in a country the water is being managed in different scales. That is what integrated water management talks about. So, water cannot be used as a free resource. It should not be that anybody can come, anybody can use it, misuses and throw it away, not like that. So, how you are managing that as a resource is what integrated water management deals with. And healthier ecosystem, our goal is to leave the ecosystem healthy even after our consumption and usage. So, that is how sustainability will happen. If we slowly move the ecosystem towards the verge of extinction, then we ourselves, our lives will be threatened. And recently these two points also has been added, and that is related to international cooperation and more local participation. So, if we have water related our issues are more sorted, then international cooperations will be better between the countries, will have more cooperation and more deals happening and all that. And local participation is absolutely important for people to understand their relation and their role in sustaining this sanctity of the freshwater systems. With this I will stop today's lecture, and I will discuss a bit more about the water related challenges in my next lecture.